Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Welcome to tonight's meeting. Today is September 20th. Welcome to the meeting of the Springfield Township School District Board of School Directors. I guess we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everyone would stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. The mission of the School District of Springfield Township is to educate and develop all students as learners and citizens who are high achieving, resilient, and responsible in a changing global community. We'll have roll call. Screen.
Mr. Needleman,
Here.
Mr. DeFranco,
Here.
Dr. Etlin, Mrs. Green,
Here.
Mrs. Hubley, Mrs. Hughes,
Here.
Mrs. Slapinski,
Here.
Dr. Taratuski, Mr. Bedard.
All right, thank you. For our announcements, as I do it, the board in its discretion may videotape all or any portion of public board meetings, subject to the limitations set forth in Policy 006. Meetings. Board meetings will be broadcast on the Friday afternoon following each board meeting. And now we'll turn to reports. And for our first high school report, our high school representative, Sarah, over to you.
In late August, EHSP hosted their annual kindergarten picnic to welcome new students and families to the district. September 9th was the first building-wide assembly since the school had been opened. The students learned about school expectations and what it means to have Spartan pride. On September 15th, the school celebrated Dot Day, where staff wore dots and students read the dot and made dot-related art in their art classes. September 17th was Constitution Day. Kindergarten classes created a classroom rules document that resembled the U.S. Constitution. First graders made a class constitution and read Constitution Day. Second grade students read We the Kids, watched a video, and did classroom activities related to the Constitution. Back to School Night is being hosted on September 22nd. Erdenheim hosted their Back to School Night on September 8th. Families were invited to meet classroom teachers and receive new information from special area teachers, food services, clinical team, EHSP and MPA parent associations, and local community organizations. Erdenheim partnered with Enfield for a kindergarten through 5th grade Spirit Day on September 9th. All students and staff were told to wear their Spartan gear. Erdenheim students attended their first pep rally of the year, where they were reminded of demonstrating Spartan pride, perseverance, respect, integrity, dependability, and empathy. September 15th marked the beginning of Hispanic Heritage Month. Erdenheim students, staff, and families are encouraged to explore Hispanic culture. The 4th grade teachers and their students held their annual Constitution Day parade Friday, September 16th. The 3rd and 5th grade students cheered on 4th grade students as they walked down the hallways and around the school with signs reflecting the various amendments of the U.S. Constitution. The middle school will hold its 2nd annual Spartan Unity Day, Thursday, September 22nd. Spartan Unity Day is a fun way to demonstrate the value that each student has and how it contributes to their school community. Picture Day is taking place on September 23rd. September 23rd will also mark the start of their annual magazine drive. Back to School Night will take place on September 29th, starting at 6:30. The middle schools implemented a new system that rewards positive behavior called Pride Points. Students have the opportunity to gain points by demonstrating the pride qualities, perseverance, respect, integrity, dependability, and empathy, and can spend the points on rewards. The students have earned over 10,000 Pride Points since the first day of school. Middle school students and staff are encouraged to wear gold to school on September 21st to support childhood cancer awareness. At the high school, Back to School Night was this past Thursday, September 15th. As for upcoming events, the Activities Fair is on September 23rd, which is this Friday. Next week, we have our Springfield homecoming football game against Wissahickon High School and the annual Spartan Kickoff on Friday the 30th. That following Saturday, October 1st, is the high school's homecoming dance. The golf team has been announced Suburban 1 co-champions. This is the 3rd year in a row that the golf team has brought home this title. Boys and girls water polo will be traveling to the Beast of the East tournament this weekend to compete with schools across the state. Both soccer seasons are off to a great start, with the girls' record being 3-4 and the boys' record of 7-1. And lastly, the cross-country team has their first home contest of the year tomorrow, September 21st, against New Hope Solbury. Thanks
So very much. Comprehensive report. Welcome again. We'll turn now to our administrative report. Dr. Yannick.
Thank you very much, Mr. Needleman. I'd also like to thank Sarah. She was very diligent in gathering her first student report. She communicated really well with our building administrators and shared a lot of great news about what's happening in our schools. So I want to thank Sarah and again welcome her. Last month was her first meeting, but this is her first report, so great job. Also want to share with the board, last Wednesday, Dr. Lutz and Mr. Chinta, both of whom were here this evening, provided an informational session focused on the multifaceted approach we take to support school safety for staff and students. A recording of the webinar was emailed to all district families on Friday and is available upon request by any member of the community by just sending an email to me or taking a look at our website where they can find the webinar. It was very informative, and I really appreciate the fact that both of them took the time to put it together and share the information with the community. Tomorrow night, our Springfield Township Education Foundation is having its first fundraiser of the year. You may recall in June, we highlighted the Education Foundation for their grant awarding $15,000 in STEM-related awards to our 2 elementary schools and our middle school for resources, programming, as well as some facilities upgrades in the middle school classroom. They also provided 5 $500 scholarships to graduating seniors at graduation in June. So their first fundraiser is tomorrow night, and it's a really easy thing to participate in. Scoogies will be having a dine and donate, and so if you take out food or if you dine in tomorrow afternoon or evening at Scoogies, a portion of the proceeds will go to the Education Foundation. It's a terrific way to support a great cause and help us to provide students and staff with resources and scholarships. I want to remind the board that not this Wednesday, but next Wednesday, the 28th, we'll have our first property committee of the new school year. We're going to meet at 8 a.m. virtually, and we'll provide an update on the Church Road project, as well as some preliminary information on potential projects heading into 2023. The meeting is open to the public, and there'll be information about how to register for the meeting on the main page of the website for families who are interested. And finally, for our Spartan Spotlight, I want to remind everyone that our schools will be closed this Monday, September 26th for Rosh Hashanah, and next Wednesday, October 5th for Yom Kippur in observance of the Jewish Holy Week. Our next board meeting, therefore, will take place on Monday, October 3rd, rather than on Tuesday the 4th, given that Yom Kippur begins at sundown on that Tuesday. We wish all of our families who celebrate this holiest of weeks in the Jewish calendar a meaningful and happy holiday. And finally, for me, I've got tonight's Spartan Spotlight. We have Dr. Michelle Lutz and Dr. Kathy Van Voren, who are going to be presenting some information for the board and the community on our district student services and special education services. So I'll invite them to come on up, and I'm going to share my screen so that they can show their presentation. It's all yours.
Good evening, everyone. We're here to talk about our student services and support services tonight. Again, I'm Dr. Michelle Lutz.
And I'm Dr. Kathy Van Voren.
And we oversee the student services and support services for the district. I have a remote. So tonight we're going to talk to you about all of the great programs that we have here in Springfield Township for our students. So first up is our support services, and you can see there's a long list of people and programs that we offer for all of our students to take advantage of. We have counselors, we have nurses, social workers, we have teachers who work with our students who speak a primary language other than English. We cover the homeless and foster services for the district, and then we also oversee the federal program. So that's our Title I reading support services down at Enfield, and we help out with our non-public school funds and also oversee those COVID dollars that we received for ESSER and ARP funds.
And then from support services to student services, the list is just as long. So you'll see that when we have students that are qualifying for special education or gifted support programming, we also oversee 504 plans. Within that area, there are school psychologists, early intervention programming, and then there is compliance monitoring and the oh so wonderful corrective action, which hopefully we never have to deal with, but these are all part of the Student Services Office.
So when we look at dividing our departments up, we really like to think of support services as universal. In other words, all of our students can benefit and get involved with some of these services at one point during their school career or many points during their school career. So we want to make sure that everybody knows that any student can access these services. So first up is some of the people that work with our students. That's our counselors that you're probably familiar with in all of our buildings. We do have 8 counselors across the district positioned in all 4 of our buildings to support students. And they either get into classrooms and do lessons, or they work individually with students to help connect them to supports. We also have our social workers. They're that connection between the family and outside resources. So they step in maybe when a student or the student's entire family might need a next level of care to connect them with the community resources. We have a really robust health team. That's all of our certified school nurses and then our support nurses throughout our district. They also go out to the non-public schools and help out there. And they're administering medications, doing screenings, checking up to make sure that everybody has immunizations across all of those buildings to support students. Our ELD teachers help acclimate students who may be arriving to the country for the first time or have been in a home that they primarily speak another language. And so they're working with those students to get them integrated into our community, help them learn languages, and then also make sure that they're respecting the language that they're learning at home, because that's also just as important. We have a great clinical support team that helps out anytime that we have students who might be at risk of harming themselves or others. And so they step in. That's our social workers, our counselors, and our psychologists that all team up together to really wrap around those students and help them. And then we would be remiss if we didn't mention all of the clerical support that we get from the secretaries and the admin assistants throughout the district, because they really do play an integral role to make sure that our students get registered. From the minute that people walk into the district, they feel welcome and like they belong here in Springfield Township, all the way through to record keeping and requesting transcripts. So some of the services that are provided are, we do a lot of attendance reporting, making sure we're staying up with state laws, getting kids into school. We do college and career prep. We oversee all those federal programs and the federal dollars to make sure that we're compliant and that we're maximizing what students receive. We do a lot of suicide and threat assessments for students, making sure that they connect with outside resources, that parents are informed, and that students feel safe here at school. And then we're making sure that all of our students have a pathway to graduate. We know that some of the laws have changed around that, so we've been working diligently to make sure that our students are as successful as possible. So again, these are all things that every single student can access. We do have a process to help students who might be in need of these services. We call it our multi-tiered systems of support team. Each building has one of these teams. Anybody, that's teachers, families, administrators, staff members, can recommend that a student be talked about in these teams, and really the purpose is to find the best supports for that student so that they can excel here in the district.
Okay, so the next part, the bridge that goes between the support services and the student services, is when students qualify for services. That was a lot of services. So prior to all of the interventions and all of the steps and differentiation, we then move to a student qualifies for either a gifted program or needs through a 504 plan or an IEP. So the key actions following any intervention is to make sure that we focus on inclusive learning environments, that when a student is in a classroom and things aren't working out despite interventions, we still keep that student in the classroom, and now what's next? And so with that, we focus on universal design lens, which is something that we promote throughout the district. We also develop individualized programs to meet the students where they are and help them excel. The last thing here is the key fact is that we create plans and clear procedures for all of our teachers when they are addressing the individualized plans for our students, so we also provide training and PD for them. All right. Within all these words are the three main categories that you can focus in within student services. So you'll see within the special education programs, we have a variety of programs. So going down the list, you'll see the learning, the emotional, the life skills, and you can follow the list down because it's a lengthy one, all the way down to blind and visual support, as well as multiple disabilities. So those are all the various programs of which we service students in the district. Moving forward to support those programs, we have related services. Related services can also be seen within 504 plans and health plans. So you'll see that we have a variety of therapies that we do for those students, as well as providing instructional support aides and paraprofessionals. We also provide nursing services, what could be a one-to-one nurse for a student that is medically fragile. We also support them through specialized transportation, social skills interventions, psychological services, and of course our behavioral supports. Moving on into our gifted supports, we have 3 tiers with the 3 different levels. So at Enfield and Erdenheim, we do academic extensions and enrichment using the standards and the curriculum to build upon projects. And then there is a pull-out support program so that they can continue working on those projects and then bring them in to share with their peers. At the middle school, we have an advanced ELA and an advanced math course based on different scores and student strengths. And then at the high school, we have a variety of AP coursework, honors coursework, dual enrollment, and of course our independent study projects. So it's quite an array from 2nd grade all the way up to 12th. All right, so because there were so many programs, I thought we should highlight something that a lot of people don't hear some information about. So the one I want to highlight tonight is our transition program. So transition programs are a part of every child's IEP. It begins at age 14, technically, and what it does is it helps us get a plan together to prepare that student for life after high school. So we do a lot here in Springfield Township. We are one of the model school districts for this program. We have what's called a transition pathways, and those are our students that are 18 to 21 that continue on with us here at Springfield Township. So what happens within there is we build community partnerships so that students get to work out in the community, do on-the-job training, and have other opportunities to prepare them for life after high school. So right now, we partner with our school district. We also partner with the Philadelphia Zoo. We partner with Meals on Wheels and a lot of other businesses that you see there. Some of the shiny faces there, which those at home can probably see a little bit better, but those are all of our students doing various things like farming and gardening, floral arrangements, putting together different things that were sold as a fundraiser, and cooking and cleaning, which is every family's dream, to see their child cooking and cleaning. All right. Also, we focus on the fact that some of our students in that program go to 2- to 4-year universities. So up in the corner, you'll see a dorm room, which for those of us that brought students to school was all too common of a look. So we have students that are participating in universities that partner with us. We have the Real Certificate program at Arcadia, and then we have our integrated studies at both we have our integrated studies at Millersville and Gwynedd Mercy. And then there's also a program at Newman. So these students get to have that same experience that everyone else does, and they get to come back and share that with us. Also, we have our Project Search internship. This is a program where students apply and get accepted, and it's education and training on the job. This year, we are excited to say we had 2 more students that were selected, and they are currently working and learning at Phoenixville Hospital. So we look forward to seeing how their program goes as the year continues. And of course, every year when we have Diversity Day at the high school, these students, like many of their peers, come back and talk about their experience, which is always great to hear for everyone involved. The next part is really our team. It was impossible to bring everyone here to you this evening. So these are pictures of our team within the support and student services realm. Within these pictures, we have nurses assistants, we have guidance counselors, social workers, special ed teachers, gifted teachers. Who am I missing? Aides, of course, we have our paraprofessionals. Those are the majority of pictures on this page because without them, we would not be doing as well within our programming. They are a huge support for us. So these are just a little bit of a picture for you to see of all the hands that go into making this a successful program for both Dr. Lutz and myself. So again, our mantra is that we seek to support all students, whether it's before or after the identification process, and that's why our offices are right next to each other. And that's why it's important that we have the same plan for all students. Thank you very much.
So I want to thank Kathy and Michelle, Dr. Van Voorn and Dr. Lutz, who are actually within the Office of Teaching and Learning with Dr. Johnston's leadership, for all of their hard work. I thought it was important at the beginning of the year when we were thinking about spotlights that all the members of the board could learn a little bit about the scope of programming that's available beyond curriculum and instruction, core programming. And so Dr. Lutz is responsible, she's the Director of Support Services, so primarily that mental health and health services branch of the Office of Teaching and Learning. And Dr. Van Voorn takes care of all of our related services and student services related to gifted and special education. And if you have any questions, I know they're happy to answer them. But I just wanted to say how proud I am of both of them, how the great work they do, and all the work of those people who you took pictures of, all of our team members and our students, because they're doing a fantastic job. And I also want to thank the businesses in the community. If anybody ends up watching this recording and they have a business in the community and they would like to offer to provide an internship or a resource for our students, we're always interested. Just reach out to Dr. Van Voorn and she'll be happy to hook you up. Any questions from the board?
It was very comprehensive. Thank you. We'll turn now to public comments on agenda items. I will note there are no signups for anyone in person. Does anyone who is online with us wish to comment on an agenda item? If so, please put up your hand and we'll accommodate you. I want to take this moment just to remind folks who are speaking on agenda items or maybe later on non-agenda items, there is a 3-minute time limit that we've got, and I'll just ask you to please introduce yourself and let us know where you live in the township. And I don't see any hands for agenda items, so we'll move right along. Our next item is approval of minutes. Let me make sure I did that right. The Board of School Directors approves the board minutes from our August 16th, 2022 regular board meeting. All those in favor, say aye. 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 Any opposed? Oh, I'm terribly sorry. I skipped the motion part. Yes, that's absolutely right. This is what I get for, I guess this is my second time now. Do we have a motion? Motion. Okay, and how about a second? Second. Second, thank you. Now, I think we can go to a vote. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries, with or without a motion. All right, now our next item is approval of the treasurer's report. The Board of School Directors approves the August 31st, 2022 Treasurer's Report. Do I have a motion? Second. All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, it carries. Our next item is Human Resources, Personnel and HR Contracts. I can read this into the record. The Board of School Directors approves the following personnel as presented in the attachment. And for those who are following along on the agenda, it's personnel 220920. Certified personnel, support personnel, temporary personnel, extra pay for extra responsibilities, 2022 to 2023, and conference workshop attendance, excuse me. Do I have a motion? And a second? Second. All right, all those in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, the action carries. Our next item is the second reading of 100 and 200 level policies. The Board of School Directors approves the second reading of the following 100 and 200 level policies, and I'll just read them as Mr. Bedard has done. 146.1, which is trauma-informed approach. 214, which is class rank. 217, graduation. 224, care of school property. And 236, threat assessment. And a second?
Second.
Are there any comments or questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Our next item is 600 level policies with no updates. This is a second reading. The Board of School Directors approves the second reading of the following 600 level policies with no updates. 601, fiscal objectives. 602, budget planning. 605, tax levy. 606, tax collection. 607, tuition income. 608, bank accounts. 612, purchases not budgeted. 613, cooperative purchasing. 615, payroll deductions. 617, petty cash. 619, district audit. 621, local taxpayer bill of rights. 622, GASB statement 34. And 624, taxable fringe benefits. Are there any comments or questions on any of these? No? Do I have a motion?
Motion.
And a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, carries. Our next item is 600 level policies with minor language changes. Again, this is a second reading. The Board of School Directors approves the second reading of the following 600 level policies with minor language changes. 603, budget presentation. 604, budget adoption. 614, payroll. 625, procurement cards. Excuse me. Do I hear any comments or questions? Sorry about that. All right. No comments or questions. Is there a motion? And a second?
Second.
All right. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The action carries. Our next item is 600 level policies with substantive language changes. This, again, is a second reading. The Board of School Directors approves the second reading of the following 600 level policies with substantive language changes. 610, purchase subject to bid or quotation. 611, purchases budgeted. 616, payment of bills. And 620, fund balances. First, are there any questions or comments from the board? Motion. And a second? Please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, you were not kidding about a quick agenda. Our next item is public comments on non-agenda items. If anyone in person would like to make a comment on a non-agenda item, please do so. Again, I'm just going to remind you, we have a 3-minute time limit, and I'll ask you before you make your comment to please identify yourself and where you live in the township. No one in person, and I don't see anyone signed up to speak in person. I'll ask if anyone who's joining us online would like to say anything, make a comment on a non-agenda item, please raise your hand and we'll give an opportunity to speak. Again, I'll just remind you there is a 3-minute time limit, and please identify yourself and where you live in the township. That's right, Dr. Yannicone. I don't see any hands online, and I see no one in person, so we'll move on. Our future board meeting dates are October 3rd, 2022, as Dr. Yannicone said before. That's going to be a hybrid meeting. It is interim. And our next regular board meeting is October 18th, 2022, here in the Freeze lobby, which is hybrid so that members of the public can participate virtually, of course. Our future committee meeting dates are September 28th, 2022, which is a property committee meeting. And with that, I will, before we go to a closing statement, just ask if anyone on the board would like to make a comment or a statement, anything like that.
I would just like to say that I did attend the high school back-to-school night, and it was wonderful being in the building again with all the parents and the teachers, and the vibe was very energetic and excited. So it was a great night, and I thank all of the faculty and staff that put all the work in to put that night together for us parents. It was great to be back. And it was my last one, so,
Well done.
Even better.
yeah, I don't know.
I would like to ask how your high school student allowed you to go to back-to-school night. I was informed in no uncertain terms should I ever step foot in any of her classrooms.
Not willingly.
Okay.
I swore that I would be the only parent there,
Fair
but I
enough.
was not. So,
Well attended.
it was,
That's the secret.
yeah.
Well done.
That's
the
pretty
secret.
much, yes.
Just ignore it. Okay, very good, very good. All right, with that, unless there are any other statements from any members of the board, we'll adjourn the meeting and see you next time. Thank you, everyone.